All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed your little recess from episode 1 to episode 2 is coming at you right now. I was right. I had to go double check my notes. But yes, Dome Globe is episode 2. This, for me, some people hate the Dome Globe. I don't understand it. To me, this is top 5 of all time, in my opinion, because it's with the flags on it, it looks like something a champion should have. That's just my 2 cents. So, this thing was around from 73 until 86. So, a good 13-year span. It was actually made in, the original was made in Mexico, and I think even when they went to later versions, they contacted the same guy to do it. His name was Manuel, it's either Manuel or Manuel, but it's Sabala is his last name. And I think they said he had made the prior version of the NWA Championship too, so that's how they knew to use him for this one. But it debuted July 20th, 1973 in Houston, Texas. So they brought Harley to the ring, presented him with the new belt, took pictures with Sam Mushnick, and Boyd Pierce was the ring announcer. Who was the referee? Bronco Lubitsch. Bronco was the referee, and he defended against Jack Briscoe. He lost it, so Jack Briscoe was the first one technically to win it, but I guess you could say Harley had it first. So obviously, it's very, very different from how this one looks right in front of you. Right? It's on a red strap, and it's a leather strap, but it's covered in red velvet. So I guess they thought that was see they didn't think it through because all the sweat and the blood and whatever else spilling on it's just gonna soak into that velvet and ruin it, and that's what happened. So didn't last too long. Jack Briscoe actually was the only person that had a nameplate, so whoever put this Flair nameplate on it before it got to me, I wish they hadn't have done that. I think it may have came with the belt and it fell off because it is glued on. I could see super glue. But Flair never had a nameplate on it. Only one that did was Jack Briscoe. And then Jack Briscoe also had the first version that was on the black leather strap with the double loop lacing. Little thing about that lacing, like I said, this is the detailed, trying to help makers and middlemen and customers and everybody else get more accurate belts. One thing I see bootleg makers do, I don't think I see real leather guys do this, but I've seen bootleg makers do it, is they use a round needle to punch the holes. And you can see this is a flat needle. I'll put a photo up of what a round needle looks like on the Dome Globe I had originally that was made by X-Man. He used a round needle as opposed to a flat one, which is what it's supposed to have. So that's just one little thing. This is obviously my Figures Inc. replica. Got signed by Tommy Rich back in May at the Aviator Hotel, the SICW Fan Fest. And this is on marked leather. This is on Mark Maggard's leather. So, very nice belt. I love this thing. This is one of those, if the house, I say this, I've been through a house fire, but if the house is on fire, I'm grabbing this fucking thing. So, like I said, version 1 was the red velvet strap, and it did not have snaps. It had, I'll put a photo up of Sam Mushnick sitting there with his arms folded during the match between Briscoe and Harley. And you could see it has a clasp like a regular belt, and then it has holes punched in on the opposite end, obviously to feed it through. But that's something that only the original one had, because like I said, it went to the black leather one still during Briscoe's title reign. And the grommets, that there's 7 of them on each side. On the version 1, they were all stacked in between the first side plate and the main plate on both sides of the belt. So later configuration, I prefer it with the 3 and then 2 and 2. I think it looks good. But another thing I didn't notice until I was going through the book, on the original, the NWA letters are not, like a curve. They're not curved like that. They are straight across the entire way. And I'm trying to think if there's a good photo of the original where you can see it. If not, I'll put one up. There's a decent one of Jack Briscoe, and you can see the letters do not curve. They go straight across. So that's the version 1. Side plates on that. Well, I got that photo pulled up. So they went in the order of Japan, Australia, Mexico, and then Canada, as opposed to the way they are here, where it's Canada, Australia, Mexico, and Japan. And then you can't tell because of the flash of the camera, but the USA banner as well as all the banners are black with white lettering. Later version would be white with black lettering. So that's something that the version, I'd say version 1 and 2 had it that way with the black banner and white letters in it. Let's see here. The shade of blue for Australia is different too. You can tell that's a darker blue, and that's the more accurate version that exists today on the belt. I'm trying to see if I can find that picture real quick. That's a lighter blue. Kind of matches that one as opposed to the real dark one Jack had. But that's version 1. Version 2, they put it on a black strap, but it's very contoured to the shape of the plate. You can see how tight it is to the main plate. This one, I feel like this is the later version, and the tighter cut was an earlier version, so this is not that, is what I'm trying to say. Also, the NWA letters are still straight across on that early one, the version 2. The backing was not black backing. The backing was cream, and I want to say, let me see if I can find where, page 90. Okay, I made a little note here of Terry Funk holding it up, and you could see the cream colored backing on the back of the strap. So that's either the version 2 or the version 3, because they both had cream colored backing that he's holding there. Side plate configuration, a little different on the V2 than it was on the V1. Like I said, version 1 was Japan, Australia, Mexico, and then Canada. This one on the version 2 goes Mexico, Australia. So instead of Japan, Australia, it goes Mexico, Australia, Canada, and then Japan. So, different configuration. Matter of fact, they had in here a page with all the versions of the belt throughout the years. There we go. Yeah, so there's a configuration of the V2 compared to the V1. Cream color backing. So, like I said, NWA letter straight across. You get to the V3 during Terry Funk's reign, because Terry, I don't know what the hell he did. He beat it up pretty good. There's a big old dent in the globe. And this section was originally painted black, but I guess when they redid it in the version 3, they actually, instead of using paint, they cut pieces of Onyx to fit and glued it in. Either that or they bolted it in, but it's Onyx as opposed to black paint that exists in the belt to this day. The V3, like I said, still cream color backing. It's still the tight cut. The NWA curved letters on the V3. So that comes in with Terry Funk and Terry and Harley. And I actually have a photo of Harley wearing it. You can tell it's the V3 because of the configuration of the plates. But so there's your configuration of the plates on the V3. Mexico, Canada, although that's the wrong flag. Australia, and then Japan. And then finally we have the version 4, which has dark backing like this one. And then also has the modern configuration of the plates: Canada, Australia, Mexico, and Japan. Little things that people may not know. I don't know. Maybe this is... And also one other thing. The final version had a wider cut than version 2 and version 3. I'm excluding version 1 because that was the red strap. But the wider cut... and also, while I'm thinking about it, the V2 and I think the V3 as well, I cannot find pictures of that, had 2x5 snaps on each side as opposed to these, which are 2x6. This would be the version 4. Would be 2x6 on the male snaps and 2x6 on the female snaps as well. So if you're doing version 2 or version 3, I would say cut that down to 2x5 on each side. And one other thing I see makers get wrong, and I even brought this up to X-Man when he made my first Dome Globe. I say, you got the snaps on the wrong side. He put the female snaps on this end, and the male snaps obviously on the opposite end. He goes, that's just how we make it. So, which is not correct. I have a photo of Harley holding the dome globe up. And one other little detail that some people might know, they might not, but it got missed by a lot of people. When Kerry Von Erich beat Flair for it at Texas Stadium, he went and carved KVE into the main plate. And I want to say there's a full spread on page 18. Yes. Page 18. You kind of see a little better there. But Kerry Von Erich carved his initials into the main plate during that week or so that he had it. The belt today, see, the first time I saw this belt, I was kind of underwhelmed by it, but it grew on me. First time I saw it, it's an episode of Raw back in 2008. It's the go home show before WrestleMania 24. And Flair has it in a bag, in a black, belt bag. And he's in the ring with Shawn Michaels, and you see him bring the belt out. And you see Shawn's face was priceless because he grew up idolizing Flair, obviously. And he's looking at it like, damn, that's my childhood. So, that's the first time I saw it. Flair, if you can believe this, Flair's not good with money. He's not good with managing his money. So, he ended up having to sell it. It sits in Triple H's office, as far as I know. Triple H may have moved it, especially with them moving from Stamford down to Florida for a lot of the operations. So, but it was in Triple H's possession last I knew of it, and Flair's tried to get it back, and of course they're not gonna give it back to Ric Flair because who knows A, if he'll hold on to it or sell it to somebody else, and B, they don't like giving stuff back. So that's it on the Dome Globe version 1. Like I said, red strap. The grommets are on this. I might go get a version 1. I like the way it looks, but I prefer this, the version 4. That Dusty and Terry Funk and Tommy Rich, Kerry Von Erich, Flair, they all had the version 4. And I think it's a great looking belt. I want to say the next video coming up is NWA TV. I have the red strap version. I also have photos of the black strap version. That's going to be coming at you next week.